Hey guys, Max115 here. Welcome back to another episode of Boom Beach. I hope you liked the low level Let's Play that we posted yesterday. Today we're back to the main account, pushing, as you can see, 1780 victory points. So we're still climbing, even though it's very slowly, but we're still moving on our way up. And today we're going to show you all RZCM videos, or so you can take it as a RZM guide, I suppose you can call it. Update news, I just placed today a new shield generator 3, which is good for another 6 days and 16 hours as of right now. However, I am building a laser beam because I decided to switch back the layout of the base. I've had this double shielded layout for quite a while now. I think it's time to just kind of change it, mix things up. I am not going to go with a corner base like everybody else does because, you know, what's the point in that, right? I think I'm going to go with a center layout with the laser beam behind the HQ, and then we'll see how things work out. You know, if it doesn't work well, maybe we'll switch again, and it really it doesn't deter any attacks from anybody, then we'll maybe just switch back to a double shield. Who knows? It's worth giving a try. I think it's fairly safe to say I'm nearing towards the very end of my push somehow, so I think we're gonna just start taking it easy from now on. But we're still pushing, so you know, a lot of failed attacks on my activity log as usual, but some fairly decent wins, all of them with RZCM actually. Which is funny because it's still heavy zooka mania, but I felt like RZCM worked well for me tonight. So Boom is the first base. 7 ice statues, 4 of them boosted, so pretty beefy base. Single shield with a shock blaster right over here in the middle. Ooh, that's loud. Okay, there we go. So I just took down the 2 rocket launchers, the one in the center and the one in the bottom there, and deploy all the troops on the left corner as I usually do. The statue storage is standing right there, which is just free GB standing, pretty much. One of the rifles will trigger that boom mine, which is not a big deal. And because it's not a laser beam, you know, it's a shock blaster, I wasn't too concerned. Some critters on the corner there were a couple of mines behind that sniper tower, so that's why I chose to put the critters there. And it'll also help distract the 2 boom cannons over here. Now, as we're approaching the flamethrowers, I throw 1 smoke and the flamethrower on the bottom, and I shock the one on the top. I didn't want to throw 2 smokes because I've done it in the past, and throwing 2 smokes kind of creates too much of a blockage, and then most of my rifles will end up under the smoke, leaving all the zookas exposed to get killed. So that's why I went with 1 smoke and 1 shot launcher there. That was my rationale in that instance. Shock the shot launcher, obviously, because I think it's really annoying. And then we threw some critters behind the shock blaster, and that's because there were a whole big group of mines by the stone storage there. That's why I threw those critters in there. So once the shot launcher, shock blaster both went down, then we finally flare all the way to the bottom corner, let them regroup. I still have 4 medics, I think. Oh no, I still have all 5 of my medics, which is great. The only thing that was really concerning when I was actually doing the attack was this rocket launcher here. It does have, I don't know what it is, like 100%, 72, 30, no, I had like 110% of damage, I believe. 1 more smoke on that flamethrower, but then I realized that by doing so, I was going to leave all of my zookas exposed to the rocket launcher. That's why I had to throw the shock directly on the sniper tower, cannon, and rocket launcher there. Just because, see, all of the rifles were actually under the smoke, which is good for the flamethrower, but terrible for the rocket launcher. So that's why I had to throw the shot. No alternative there. At this point, my troops were running really thin. I wasn't feeling too confident, but I had come in so far in the raid that I felt like I couldn't give up, so I just kept on going. Plus, I had a really good number of zookas, which was great. Pack of critters, things were getting incredibly expensive also at this point, so you just have to kind of pray a little bit. But the critters did a pretty good job. The troops were doing fairly well. The zookas were surviving. Thank God I still have all 5 of those medics though. If I had maybe 4 or 3, I'm not sure if I would have done that well. And once the troops got me enough gunboat energy, I was able to shock the shock launcher, and then was praying for those zookas to take it down before my own shot ran out, which they did. And after that, they kind of just got fixated on the HQ, and after it was just a matter of time, because the only things that were shooting us were actually the 2 boom cannons and the sniper tower, which are all single shot. The mortar was just outside of range, as you guys can see there, and I had a pretty decent number of zookas, so made it just in the nick of time. A couple more seconds, probably wouldn't have gotten it done. Base still had a lot of ice though. I am going full boost, as you can see, 90, 68, and 84 as usual. All 4 of my ice statues boosted. Now, next base, I'm not sure what the name was. I didn't really pay much attention. So again, 7 ice statues. This time only 2 of them boosted, so a lot less. The first one had 4 ice statues boosted. This one had a laser beam, which makes things much more difficult for me personally. I made no secret out of it. There were a couple of mines behind that stone storage. I personally hate the laser beam. It makes it almost impossible for me to do raids. But that's how things go right now on the leaderboard, so I just have to kind of adjust. Pre-smoked the beach because, 2 shot launchers and a rocket launcher right on the shore. That's just, it's just a recipe for getting killed. So I couldn't afford letting my troops take down anything, which is just a waste of GBE really. But it's the only way I can assure all of my troops to make it there. And then here, I don't know why those field rifles decided to step out of the smoke. Even though my flare was all the way over here on the right side, it was ridiculous. Anyhow, the important thing was not to panic. As the smokes cleared out, I threw a pack of critters, a couple of shocks on the 2 rockets and the laser beam. Let the zookas just kind of explode out and take out everything. Shot the 2 mortars and the laser beam on the right side. Threw a med kit because I knew that rocket launcher was going to start targeting us very quickly. And as soon as the cannon went down, I threw some critters and then I flared straight to the rocket launcher. I needed to take that thing out as quickly as possible. This was a very desperate pass, honestly. I wasn't sure if it was going to work or not. And once the rocket launcher went down, flare all the troops to the corner there. And I didn't even have GBE for smokes. Nothing at all. So that's why I lost all of my medics. 5 medics. There goes the last one. My troops were completely exposed. Not a single medic to heal them up. So as you can assume, my level of confidence at this point was really, really tiny. I didn't know I was going to make it or not. Surprisingly, I did. I just kind of went with it. Let the troops gather a bit of extra GBE and then flare them all the way to the upper corner there. I knew this boom cannon was going to be well out of range, so I wasn't too concerned. The only good thing is that I did have a lot of zookas. I think I had 11 zookas in each boat up to this point, and probably about 10 rifles per boat. So it's still quite a good amount of troops, but it's certainly a concern when you don't have medics going on. Look, by now, the time that they had spent walking around, my medics could have really healed up the guys, but in this instance they couldn't. And I was saving up the med kits because I wanted to use it for when they got to this flamethrower here and this machine gun here. So right about here, there goes the first med kit because there was a lot of red going on there and a lot of half greens. There goes the second med kit right on the flamethrower, and I had nothing more for that last flamethrower. I was just kind of relying on the sheer number of troops that I had. I was hoping those zookas would take down the boom cannon, which they did right in the nick of time because that flare just got there a microsecond before my troops were able to take it out. So that was kind of lucky. I mistimed it just a little bit, but it worked out for my advantage. At this point, flare straight to the HQ. I didn't want my troops to spread out and start taking down the mortars or whatnot, because that flare and that pack of critters were the last things I was able to afford. Nothing left on my GBE reserve, and it was just a lucky break that I had a big amount of zookas and they were able to finish off the HQ at the end. So, it was actually a pretty good attack if you ask me. I mean, I personally didn't think I was going to make it, but it worked out, so I'm happy about that. So that was the second base that we attacked. Don't know how to read the name, and I can't read this name either. So I'm a terrible Chinese, by the way. But anyways, this base had 4 ice. None of them boosted, as you guys can see right here. How come I can't tap? There we go. Yeah, none of them boosted, which obviously will make for a very, very easy raid, which is my favorite type, really. So we took down 2 of the rocket launchers. This base did have a shock blaster in the back. So I let the troops gather in the front and then take down 2 of the sniper towers because I wanted to get a little bit of GBE back first before we flare all the way to the back. So 2 smokes right there and then reverse smokes at the end, making sure the smokes were going to cover around the sawmill because I knew the troops were going to split right around them. It was actually perfect coverage. Worked out better than I had expected. As usual, a couple of rifles stepped out of the smoke. I don't know why. But anyways, the important thing, like I said, not to panic. Threw a pack of critters and then shocked the shock blaster and flamethrower up there. The mortar back here was doing some work on me, so I was forced to throw a shock on top of those 2 along with the 2 machine guns because they do splash damage. The troops alone were able to take down the shot launcher and rocket launcher together. So at this point I flared straight to the shock blaster. I needed to take that thing out of the game first as quickly as possible, and then the flamethrower. Once those defenses went down, then I flared all the way back, threw a medkit because there was a lot of red around the HQ. And at this point, same thing, just let my troops gather a little bit of extra gunboat energy. One machine gun and one sniper tower wasn't too much of a concern, so I was still feeling pretty good. I think I still have 4 medics left. I see 4. Yeah, I probably lost 1 only so far. And at this point, I think we're going to throw a medkit right there, try to save some of those rifles, and just let the zookas finish off the cannon and the shield generator. Once the generator comes down, flare straight to the corner. I had no gunboat energy once again, used it all up, completely depleted, so not much you can do, just kind of hope and pray a little bit. I flared once again straight to the HQ, because if I flare early while the troops are still walking, they'll actually start walking towards the HQ from wherever they were staying, so that would have formed a bigger loop, which works better when you're facing a shot launcher. And right there, the whole thing came down. Also, it's worth mentioning that this base did not have any of its ice boosters, which is why, you know, this race was so much easier and it worked out despite the fact that I made a lot of mistakes, I think. So that actually worked out pretty well. Next base was a thief, which is, I think we've taken down this base before. Not a big deal. This base had 3 ice statues. They're hidden somewhere here behind the trees. Yeah, there's a guardian there, and then the 2 masterpieces. So 3 ice statues, all 3 of them boosted. Similar to the one before, it had a shock blaster, but the mistake in here was having the layout of the rocket launchers was really awkward in my opinion. So I took down the 1 rocket launcher all the way in the back, and one of the shot launchers, the one on the left side. The big mistake, the big error in this base layout, like I was gonna say, is that in the front everything is single shot. Sniper towers, cannons, boom cannons. I mean, everything is just single shot, and you know, when you use RZCM, single shots are not that effective. So I was able to, you know, do a lot of damage, let my troops really spread out wide from side to side. Sure, I did leave the 2 rocket launchers and the flamethrowers, which are really dangerous, but once again, he didn't have a lot of ice, only 3 ice statues, which is really not that big a deal. So I knew my troops were going to survive, and I just took the space full head on, let the troops keep on spreading out, just shocking the shot launcher, rocket launchers, flamethrowers, whatever I could. Right there, 1 more shot. I was lucky that I was able to shock the shock blaster and shot launcher together at the same time, which is always great. And thank God these group of zookas down here went straight for the shot launcher. So once we got there, threw a pack of critters, and I was waiting to see if the troops would take down the flamethrower, which they did, through a medkit. And then after that, I decided, well, you know what? We still have a good amount of troops. We're just going to go straight for the blaster, take that thing down, and then we're going to flare to a safe space because those boom cannons are a good 3 tiles away from the HQ. So a smoke to kind of protect some of those troops and let them walk to the back. Like I said, the boom cannons would be out of the range of the zookas. They will certainly get the rifles, but I didn't care about that. I just needed the zookas to survive, which worked out well. And as you can expect, I had a good amount of zookas, like a good 20 zookas in there, so that HQ came down really, really quickly. So that was a thief space. Pretty good attack if you ask me. I mean, this also works out because it was an easy base. After that, we got Gatsu, the Japanese base. At least he has hiragana letters. 5 ice statues, masterpieces boosted, but only 2 of the 5 were boosted, which is not a lot. And it's a corner base, so I did the same thing from the first base we attacked. So we took down 2 of the rocket launchers, and then just put the troops, instead of attacking from the bottom left corner though, I decided to attack from the bottom right because the shot launcher, rocket launcher were on this side, so it wouldn't have made sense to start attacking the base from the left side. Let the troops kind of spread out, throw a pack of critters, mainly to distract, you know, to turn the flamethrower around, which they did, just to buy my troops a few seconds so they can take it down. Critters on the mines, and that would also help distract the shot launcher and the mortar. Didn't do so well for the mortar, but at least the shot launcher did turn towards the critters. There were 3 mines in front of that rocket launcher, and I didn't want my troops to step on them, so I was forced to throw 1 artillery shell in it. Whether it was a good investment of GBE, I'm not sure, but it worked out well in the end. I had to shock the shock blaster because that thing is just so relentless when it's shooting all over the place. Critters on that big patch of mines by the mortar, and just gonna let my troops move in slowly. I had already lost actually a pretty good amount of rifles at this point, but I still had a handful left, which is all you need. I mean, everything was single shot here except for the mortar back here. Machine guns I'm not too concerned with, and once the zookas finished off the shot launcher, then I flare straight to the machine gun behind the HQ, shock the mortar because that thing obviously would have been super deadly. Let my troops take down the shot launcher and then the boom cannon, and then I had to get rid of that mortar because it has so much range. Actually, maybe I could have parked my troops behind anyways. Well, it didn't matter. At that point then I flared back, and I had, I think, exactly 12 zookas if I remember correctly. And you know, I still had like a good minute and 40 seconds left at this point. So when you have that with zookas, that's not a big deal. If it was tanks, I would have been a lot more worried. We're gonna go 4 times the speed. Just let the shield come down. That shield is actually it actually worked out pretty well and very quickly. And right there, the HQ is completely exposed, nothing hitting us. We also had 2 rifles left in there. I don't know if you guys can see them, but there's 2 rifles that survived, and surprisingly, all 5 of the medics survived. I usually lose medics on every single raid, but it worked out this way, so that was pretty good. Alright, and then the next one was an NPC, which is not worth looking at. Alright guys, so I think that'll be it for tonight. The video is fairly long. We got 5 attacks, all of them with RZCM. Still a couple of bases on my map. I'll try to attack them. I'm not sure if I'll defeat them, but you know, that's how the game goes. Alright guys, so hopefully you guys like the attacks. I'll see you guys next time. Take care then. I'm Max115. Bye.